Again, I'm Chris Oyeda. I'm the Senior Director of Policy and Programs for the National Farm to School Network. And welcome to our coffee series. If this is the first time that you're joining us. So a little bit about Nfsn. So National Farm to School Network is an information and advocacy and networking hub for communities working to bring local food sourcing, school gardens, and food and agricultural education into the schools and early care and education settings. And we're really excited about our mission, right? To increase access to local food and nutrition education to improve children's health, strengthen family farms, and cultivate vibrant communities. And we do this by connecting people to policy and advocacy, connecting people, and connecting people to resources. So a little bit over a year ago, if you're new to Nfsn, something that was really exciting is that we launched our call to action that 100% of communities would hold power in a racially just food system by 2025. And this is a large goal. It's not something that we think we can do by ourselves. It's something that we know we have to do with so many different communities and organizations, but we know it's important and we know it's urgent, and it's something that we are committed to achieving. And so that's one of the reasons why we started this coffee chat series. It was our opportunity to have this continued conversation from our movement meeting around shifting power and racial equity. So using this platform to center leaders of color that are doing amazing things on the work, in their fields, grassroots work around the country, and really creating this space to elevate those voices and that work. And so we want to thank National Co-op Grocers for their support of the National Farm to School Network, and their support helps to make the Coffee Chat series possible. And so today's conversation is specifically focused on young leaders of color, right? And what can we do to support the future generation? So that next generation of Black farmers and land ownership and co-ops, that's what we really wanted to have a continued conversation around what we're seeing happening around the country, and to plug into Farm to School Month, which is October, and that conversation, if you didn't have a chance to tune in, which was another panel conversation around the next generation, young leaders of color, this is that continued conversation. So today we have two guests with us. We have Durante Trent, born and raised in Atlanta, Georgia, the youngest of four, and has been with Gangsters to Growers, the Come Up Project, since 2018. They started as a trainee once the program was over, and assisted in whatever what needed to be done, and now is the market coordinator for Sweet Soul Hot Sauce Cooperative. And Torian, born and raised also in Atlanta, Georgia, that you've been working also with Gangster Growers, the Come Up Project, since 2019, and stayed in the same neighborhood of Miss Abby, and joined through their cousin that was in the program. And they've been working with Miss Abby since then, and is also administration for the Sweet Soul Hot Sauce Cooperative. So I'm really excited to have you both here to join us in this coffee chat. And we can just dive into the first question. And that is for you both to tell us about your organization, how it began, what it does, who it serves. Yeah, so I'll start with you, Durante, to answer first.
Oh, all right. So, De'Riante Trent, like you said, from Atlanta. But so the Come Up Project originally started in 2016. Miss Abby started it because she ran a local garden in our neighborhood, but she would frequently see fellas around the age of 18 to 24 getting in trouble. So she kind of came up with an idea to start a program to keep them off the street. But then she also realized that she only had the program and she needed the product, so she ended up creating the hot sauce. Um, in 2018, I was a part of the inaugural group of people to be in the Gangster Growth program. It was a 3-month program from October to January that we did. The city of Atlanta actually paid us $15 an hour, so it was a straight experience. I kind of I started doing it fresh out the streets, like I told Miss Abby. I had just recently left my neighborhood doing what we do in my neighborhood. and then the program started. And from the first week, I want to say I kind of knew that it was a way that we could change not only our lives but the lives of people around us. So that's what kind of made me stick with it. And then once the program was over with, we kind of stalled out for a minute because when you have as many people as we got now to really fall back on, or well, really to help us get to where we need to be. So it's kind of me and Miss Abby just running around doing what we had to do. And then Torian and a few other fellas came in, and yeah, we kind of came up with the idea to make the hot sauce a co-op because we realized that cooperatives are something that we rarely see, but something that we actually need because a cooperative model allows every single person within the business to have the same amount of shares, the same voice. So your vote will always matter in a co-op instead of it being like one CEO at the top and then you got the presidents and then the workers at the bottom. It's never a hierarchy. Everybody's on the same tier. So that's kind of what made me support the whole co-op model. And then once we graduated from the program in 20 this year, once we graduated from the program in May, we kind of had an opportunity to buy into the co-op as owners. So we took the opportunity, and so far it's been a rewarding opportunity.
Awesome. Torian, anything to add about like just the work that you guys do?
Nah, he done said it all.
You said it all? Okay. No, that's really amazing. Like what you said about just how you saw this as an opportunity to do more and change lives in your community and like sticking with it, and how sometimes there's going to be like those ups and downs, especially when you're starting a new program where you'll have the funding or you have the investment, and then maybe there are moments where you don't, but like seeing the possibility of what this can be and the need for it in your community. So just continue with staying into the work, because I know sometimes that's the hardest part when you're starting and working with a grassroots organization that is just coming about, is because you just don't know how long it's going to take, and like sometimes change is slow. So it's really important that you don't get discouraged and stay with the work. So this time we'll start with you, Torian. So tell us just a little bit about yourself, and why getting involved in this organization in particular was really important to you. We can't hear you if you're talking.
Oh, he talk to myself. But look,
Yeah.
I'm from Atlanta. Born on the west side. I grew up in the neighborhood with my Abby. I was down here since I grew up. And my cousin, he was in the program, and you know what I'm saying, he was taking me to like different workshops they had and all the little farming lessons that they had. And I was really interested in too, but like at the same time I wasn't because I was doing other stuff, you know what I'm saying? So I was like, let me stop doing that. And then I started seeing with Abby, you know what I'm saying? I come around with Abby more because my cousin was working there. And I was like, oh yeah, this is something I want to do. And so I started doing it and I started liking it. And then it been on ever since. You know, like I learned every day still from it. Like it's not just one thing. Learn like every day is a learning process working with them. So I enjoy it.
Awesome. Yeah, Dante.
Oh no, I was just, I was feeling the air in the car. My bad.
Oh no, go ahead. Like tell us a little bit about you and why in particular this is really important to you.
Oh yeah, cause I ain't never seen a model like this. Well, me personally, like I said, I'm from Atlanta, but I grew up on the east side of Atlanta. And, a neighborhood we know is Four Seasons, whatever we call it in the city. But yeah, it's one of them neighborhoods. Too many people ain't making it out. Especially, well, I ain't gonna say making it out, but you ain't following your dreams. Let me say it like that. It's a place where dreams go to die. So like
Mm,
for me, I was always one of the people that I never believed I fit in an environment like that. Like even though I came from it, my mindset was never in it. So I always knew I was gonna be the one to get out some way, somehow. And then when the program came to me, it was the way she explained it. Like so she brought the house house to me before she actually told me about the program. She told me about the house house to allow me to know that she was trying to give us an opportunity to own something. So like
mm-hmm,
that right there was powerful to me, like because
right.
where I come from, we don't own nothing. Like we don't even own the houses we stay in. So for us to own something that can eventually feed our kids and then their kids and
Mhm.
so on and so forth is
Mhm.
something that I couldn't deny. So, and then I seen like the passion behind it. Like, so I'm one of them people. If you tell me something, you gotta actually show me that you care about it as much as you want me to care about it. And Miss Abby
Mhm.
was one of those people that actually showed you that she cared about you before she even expected you to care about whatever she had going on. She would show you that she was the person that she was making herself out to be, and then that'll kind of make you comfortable within yourself, and then you'll give her 100%. And when giving her 100%, you just don't realize, but you're giving yourself 1,000%. And working the co-op is that showed me that. Like that showed me everything that we put into the program is kind of manifesting itself now because the same village that we had that we kind of built ourselves over the last 2 3 years is kind of showing up for us right now when we need it. That's kind of the reason that I stuck around. Like I started seeing that it paid off and it was something that could actually change the world.
Mhm. Yeah. And I think that's crucial what you said about when you come to people to ask them to put into something, showing that you care about it just as much and that you're invested just as much. And that's how people, you know, can commit to doing something because it's really hard if someone doesn't see that you're willing to put in the time and the energy and the effort. You're asking them to put in the time and energy and effort, and they don't see that happening. So I think that's really a good thing for I think leaders to remember in any type of movement or organization that they're building is that when you're asking people to come in and join you, making sure that they can see that you're as committed. And I also love what you said about like when you're giving that percent to her, you're really giving 1,000% to yourself. So it's not even about like what you said about that ownership, right? Because it's not really about, okay, I'm just giving it and it's just for this other person. I'm pouring energy into them. But it's like, as you're pouring energy into this project, you're pouring energy into yourself because it's something that you're investing in, that you have ownership in, and how powerful that is. And that paradigm shift of way of thinking. And I think that's crucial. So I really just appreciate that point that you made. And so, like both of you mentioned, you both play different roles and have been with the organization for a few years now. So I'm just interested to know like what role you play in particular and what that looks like. So Torian, we can start with you. Like what role do you play in the organization? What does that look like?
I'm admin for
Mhm.
the Sweet Soul Cooperative, meaning like I do inventory for how much sauce we're producing, you know, what I'm saying how much we're selling. I also take notes when we have meetings and all that. So I'm more like the note taker, like in the background, trying to make sure like everything gets set up still together. You know what I'm saying. Also, I pay my brothers. You know what I'm saying. That's in the Sweet Soul Cooperative as well.
Mhm.
So I'm more like, you know, really they call me like the money man. So
Mhm.
I'm more so keeping everything in order
Right.
while they
So,
doing their side.
so when the check don't come, I call you, basically.
Yeah.
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 Right. They know who to come
Yeah.
yell at. Yeah. And Durante, like what's your role that you play? Because I know market coordinator, what does that look like?
So I kind of just find us like different selling opportunities, like going finding different festivals and stuff around the city, pretty much around the southeast region. Because we ain't trying to just focus on Atlanta, but so yeah, pretty much just finding different stuff for us to do. Running our Instagram and social media, kind of everything else too though. Like I kind of dip and dab in a lot, except I don't mess around with the money. I let you down have that. So I stick to, what I'm saying. But yeah, like selling hot sauce, doing little stuff like that.
Hmm. And I think too, like to your point about like going into like market spaces and events, and I know like this could look different depending upon communities, but a lot of times this space tends to be like the farmers market and like the ag space and like the
Yeah.
food space tends to sometimes be a more white space and not have a
Yeah.
lot of communities of color in different communities. So what does it mean to you to be young Black men working in this space? Have you felt like that's really just been what you've seen too because of where you live in Atlanta? Or has there been like this difference between like you talked about like the community that you're from and other communities that you might sell and work in?
No, so the communities we try and stay like so. Right now, we so community oriented, we try and stay in our neck of the woods, so to speak. So like we function on the west side of Atlanta. So pretty much that's what everything kind of revolve around right now. Everything. So we make our house on the west side. We ship our house on the west side. Our offices on the west side. So like everything right now is centered on the west side of Atlanta mainly because the west side is the side of Atlanta with the least amount of opportunities. So don't nobody bring business to the west side until something they tear down something and they realize that it's a gold mine. You know what I'm saying? So they gentrify. So, but like the spaces that we work in, we try and control the spaces we work in. Like I try, that's why I go find the markets that we go to. Because I'm not one of them people that see something on Google and say, all right, let me sign up for it so we can make some money. Because I don't want me and my brothers to go into a situation that we uncomfortable. Because once we only been doing this for a certain amount of time. So our mindsets are still like from where we come from. So if we go in a place and we feel uncomfortable and it's like a situation like how it be where we come from, it will react a certain kind of way. So I try and keep us out of those situations. So I look deeply into the markets that we do. Most of the markets we do are like black people host them. You know what I'm saying? I do a few white markets, but it's not on a bigger. It's not on a big scale to where that's majority of the markets we do are white centered. But the crowds of people that we interact with are diversified crowds, and it's also it was also this one market we did that we ain't rock with because of the whole vibe of it, and those were black people. So I don't think it's a black or a white thing. It's just about the vibe of it, like the way we feel going into it. If I don't like the way it feel when I sign up for it, I ain't even gonna pay for it. I keep it moving and then find something else because we do got contracts with a couple restaurants, so we're not necessarily money hungry, but we definitely still need the money.
And I think that point that you made about just the intentionality of this space that you put your community members that work with you in and being mindful of that is so important. It's like I always say, I'm big on like curating the space. Like if I'm going to put my community in a space, it needs to be safe. I need to be mindful of, okay, what is the likeliness of this going left, as we say, right? And how will people react and what will that look like? And so just that mindfulness that needs to go into that, when you're entering spaces or communities that you're not familiar with. And that point that it might not always be, to your point, like white or black or white versus people of color. It could be on any spectrum, but that we need to also always be mindful of the spaces that we're creating and the safety there, because that's a real thing. Because when you show up and you present a certain way in this world that we live in, you're treated a little bit differently. So you have to be mindful about how people might react to your presence. So I just appreciate you naming that. And
I can say something else on that real quick.
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no. So I'm intentional about the spaces we go into because that's the way they groomed me for this business, right? So in the program, the way the Gangster Growth program is set up is everybody she bring around us, she intentionally handpicked, right? So like it's a thorough process they go through before coming to us, giving us their information. So I was already kind of groomed to know what to look for in spaces before I even realized it. So when going to look for markets, I had already had a checklist in my head that I was checking off. And if it was even like one box that didn't check, I wouldn't go for it. Like you had to check every box for me to even pay you for it. That's thanks to Miss Abby and the community that we come from.
No, that's great that, like, to your point, that you learned that, because that's how the program was built, with intentionality around who you all were exposed to in the program. And then that built that awareness for intentionality. Now, when you're in that kind of leadership position and it's your job to see who, people are going to be exposed to, that you take that same type of intentionality back. And so we talked a little bit about like what it is to be young people of color just in the work, but you guys are also entrepreneurs, business owners. So what would you like for people to know about being an entrepreneur in this space as men of color, and what that looks like, or any challenges that you feel like you face that might be in particular to that? And we could start with you this time, Torian.
I would like to let them know, you know what I'm saying? Everything ain't gonna be easy. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna have bumps in the road. You feel me? You might be up one time, then you might be down, you know what I'm saying? But with business, you know what I'm saying, you always keep going. Cause every business not perfect. Every business had their downfall, you know. So always just keep your head up, keep working, you know. But it's very things to learn with being a young business owner, you know what I'm saying? Cause as we have like Miss Abby, we have like older people, you know what I'm saying, that probably been in the business game and tell us a few things, you know what I'm saying, but not spoil it all, you know what I'm saying? We still need to learn like fault, you know what I'm saying, so we can learn them ourselves. So that's, you know what I'm saying, one key thing I want them to know.
Durante, anything
On
you want
my
to add?
yeah, on my end though, I pretty much say like being a young black man in this is kind of like most people don't see us for what we got in our head. They see what we look like, right? So when I like right now we out selling hot sauce. So like if I approach somebody, the first thing they do is look at me and they look at what I got on, then look at my face. And I seen like just 10 minutes ago, I seen a man. I was we were passing a flyer, so I was giving him a flyer, and he looked at me in the face for a conversation. Then was like, no, just because of the way I look. So I always say don't judge a book by its cover. Even though we hear that a lot, people say they don't, but most people do. Like most people, when they look at us, they don't even hear the fact that we selling hot sauce. They see us and touch their purses or look at us funny because they think we on some BS. So I would say like it's hard to overcome that for a lot of people because a lot of people see a lot of stuff like that and then they lose confidence. So they'll feel like everybody they walk up on, everybody they try to interact with is gonna feel like that it's their problem. You know what I'm saying? So they won't want to interact with people. So I would say always have an open mind. And the one thing I learned while doing business with people is the person that feels like he know everything, know nothing. You know what I'm saying? So like it's
Mm-hmm.
always something you can learn in business. Business change every day. So like we were using we just realized like we were using whole turmeric, like real turmeric, and then we realized like powdered turmeric sometimes would be, you know what I'm saying? So like changing different parts of your business is something that works too, you know, like business is never set. Like it's always gonna be changed, like Torian said, it's always gonna be changed. Nothing is set in stone. So that's something to always look forward to. You should always look forward to the changes, never get comfortable. And then something I always tell my brothers is being uncomfortable create change. Like so when you get comfortable, you get complacent. And then you start living like that. Like once you start being comfortable, especially in business, once you get comfortable in business, you start letting opportunities pass you. And if you let so many opportunities pass, then it's a point of no return. You know what I'm saying? So like I'm trying to get my brothers to stay uncomfortable so that we can always know what to look for. You know what I'm saying? Know where we going and where we need to be.
Yes, I absolutely love that. Everyone on my team knows I'm known for saying, I want you to stay uncomfortable because on the other side of uncomfortable is success. Like
Yeah,
exactly what you said. Like you have to stay pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone into things that are unknown, trying new things. Like success happens only when you're willing to fail, like when you're willing to push
yeah.
yourself to that limit. So I think that's really sound advice. And when we talk about like the movement of like the racial justice and like food justice and like all of the intersectionality, which is really important to our organization, National Farm School Network, we've been really thinking intentionally about that intersectionality of the work. How does your organization work within the food justice space to center racial justice work? Like what has that looked like for you guys?
So we empower we work with over 100 black owned farms, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's an organization called Song, Southerners on New Ground. That's LGBTQ, and they also do like they work around the justice system.
Mm-hmm.
So we work with an organization called the National Black Food and Justice Alliance, and they work on finding land for black owned farms. They work on getting money for black owned farms. And we work with a couple different organizations um that center around like just pretty much trying to find ways for black males to thrive in the world right now.
Mm-hmm.
The Water Boys in the Hood, the person that found a way to organize that, we have a relationship with her. I can't think of her name right now. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I can't think about it. But yeah, she was one of the people that went from seeing the boys on the corner of the street getting kind of like disrespected because they were trying to make a little extra money to feed themselves. And she kind of took it and organized it and made it into something bigger, sort of like what Miss Ivy did with our program. She seen that it was people in the neighborhood that were trying to do something to better themselves, but they weren't getting nowhere. And she knew that she could help, so she kind of took them under her wing and helped it like that. Couple farms we work with, Soul Spirit Farms, True Living Well, Gilliam's Community Farm and Garden. T-Dog might, Torian might know some more, but them the few I can think about, and it's a lot more organizations that that's kind of why I'm tongue twisted right now because I can't think of all of them at the same time.
No, you're fine. No, I think that's crucial, like you said, like thinking about all the different organizations you can partner with, those touch points, like being intentional about the farmers and producers that you work with, being Black producers, being intentional about the other organizations that are doing great works and how you can partner with them. Um, Torian, did you have anything you wanted to add around that? No, I think that that's really amazing, like that work that you guys do. And then, so I think you talked about this a little bit, but how would you say, like, the specifically like that justice um, part? Because I think when we were talking offline, you talked a little bit about like working with people with reentry and other aspects. Like, how is that really funneled into your work and the intentionality around that?
So the Gangsters to Growers program is a program for formerly incarcerated and recently homeless 18 to 24-year-olds.
Mhm.
So that within itself is stopping recidivism. So I'm
Right.
saying, and recidivism is the rate that people constantly go back to jail, right? So somebody that get out and then reoffend, that's a recidivist, right? So we're trying to stop that rate. And like, so a way I can say, like Miss Abby she came to court. Like, it was a situation where a couple of us got locked up in the Gangster Girls program in 2018, and she came to court for it. So, like, that's the way I see the Gangster Girls program being for justice because she gonna show up. Like, and
Mhm.
then as I mentioned, the song they help bond people out of jail. So, like, the Black people that we work with don't like to see Black people down, so they gonna do everything. The community gonna do everything in its power to make sure that if you in the community, you are able to thrive. You know what I'm saying? So, um, we trying like we don't like jail. So we try and keep people out of jail as much as we possibly can.
Mhm.
And like helping people like ownership on the business. Yoga, we do yoga, environmental responsibility,
Mhm.
nutritional cooking. So
Mhm.
like different ways to expand in your mind will help you create a better way of thinking. So like coming to the program for let's say 2 weeks in my life helped me realize that decisions that I would take that would take me a minute to make start taking me 10 minutes to I had to literally sit down and make a decision. And then that started helping me make better decisions because then I realized that it was something more in the world than what I was used to seeing every day. So I'm saying so it kinda helped to change your life. Like it's literally a life changing situation if you allow it to be.
Mhm.
Like, like you got a lot of people that see the program and they look at the name of it and automatically assume like it don't work. Like I took it to my neighborhood and a few people were like, oh no, that ain't gonna work, bro. But then you fast forward 3 years and they see me and they be like, how do I get with it? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's the reaction I want though. I want you to see it. Like, cause I'm one of them people that I can show you better than I can tell you. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So I rather show you than tell you. You know what I'm saying?
And I
Kind of
think
what we doing.
like what you touched on about how Miss Abby comes into the court, that kind of
Yeah.
in our community, like that participatory defense process is like what we call it in my community, and how there's a group that you work with that does like bailing people out. Like, it's like taking a step back and looking at the whole picture of the circumstances of an individual, looking at all of the needs, and how, if you're saying, because you mentioned like, right, like how they have like these classes that are built around like nutritional eating and cooking, right? But I think that the difference between if an organization just came into a community and said, we're going to just do a cooking class, and assuming like just doing a cooking class and that's it, versus an organization coming into the community and saying, I see a need around this. Like I want to stop seeing, the young in this program specifically, the young Black men in our community incarcerated. And so I'm going to look at all of the touch points that we need to be invested in. We need to be making sure that we're in the courtroom, also creating spaces. We need to look at like how we're creating ownership, how we're also have this education piece, how we're also like investing in like any of the cash bail system or being and making sure there's opportunity. And I think that's the key too, is saying, not thinking you can just come in and do this one thing, but knowing that you've got to like holistically look at the needs of the community and the people that you're trying to help. And it doesn't mean you have to do everything, but I think that your organization is such a good model because y'all partner with so many different organizations that do different things. So it's not like you guys have to own 100% of the responsibility, but you're just creating all of that opportunity. So I think that's really important. And so,
Honestly, I think.
yeah, go ahead.
Well, no, I was saying, I think that's where the power comes from, right?
Mhm.
Because it's not an organization that just kind of scoped out a neighborhood and then said, okay, let's go right here and then try and help them. It was an organization that was bred in our neighborhood for
Mhm.
our neighborhood, right?
Mhm.
So it came from the West Side. It's for the West Side and it operates on the West Side. So it's
Mhm.
literally one of those organizations that you can't like literally outside of the Black Panthers and different grassroots movements like that. I can't see too many movements actually being the way this one was, because it like I said, when I found out about it, I was kind of like, yeah, like I was with it, but once she showed me exactly how she was working with us, like yeah, it solidified my mindset. It allowed me to know that this was what I needed to be doing.
Mhm. And I think that point you made is so crucial. That difference between it was bred from the community, and it wasn't like outside coming in and saying, "I have the solutions," like that son of savior complex. Like I'm gonna come in and save
Yeah,
this community versus the most impacted stakeholders, the people in the community. That's where the solutions come from, and it being built by the community. And I think to your point, like that's more authentic, and people can see that, and it's built differently because it's built understanding the needs of the community in a different way. So I definitely agree with you about like that being where the power comes from, that it's built on that foundation. And you talk some about like the ownership part. And so just like explain for people that might not know, like with co-ops, and why you think that model is so important to communities and specifically like communities of color. And either one of you can start first.
all right. So like my whole version, like co-op. So the biggest co-op version in the world is called Mondragon. It's in Spain right now, and it's a co-op where everything they do is like they educate you in the co-op, you work in the co-op, and kind of like live and play in the co-op, so to speak, right? So like our version of the co-op is a worker-owned model. We own the business, but we also are the ones that get paid to work it, right? So like I'm the market coordinator. Torian is the admin, and then we got two more fellas that are our sales team. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's the best model because, like I said before, no one is a hierarchy. Like you don't got a CEO and then presidents and then workers. It's all one level. Like everybody is a boss. Like that's how we look at ourselves. Like we don't go into a market and tell people like, oh, I'm just a market coordinator for Sweet Soul. Before anything, I tell them that I'm an owner of a hot sauce. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And that kind of in our head, it kind of gives us empowerment to know that we own something. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then the co-op within itself is something that so it's not like a non-profit
Mm-hmm.
or a 501c3, but different co-ops can get different funding. You know what I'm saying? Like co-ops can get different funding from different people if you know what to look for. And then that's another thing. Like it's not a lot of co-ops to be found where really in Georgia, so a lot of people will know about it. Like so we when we first started our co-op, we had to reach out to some people in South Carolina for them to actually show us how to format it and show us how to actually build it out to be what it is right now. And it's turned out to work mainly because we got a lot of people within our co-op that aren't selfish. Like we all know that in order to get to the bigger goal, we all got to sacrifice something. You know what I'm saying? So whether it be time or even sometimes it be money. Like we all sometimes might have to take a pay cut in order for it to keep going. But we ain't tripping on it because we know whatever we put in, we're gonna get back 10 times. And that's another thing with a co-op. Like a co-op only goes as far as you take it. Like, so a co-op is not like Dunkin' Donuts. It's not a corporation where you got different sponsors sponsoring you. You got, it's literally the members put in what they can put in. You got a few outside forces that interact with the co-op, but it's not big enough to actually make a wave in it. So you kind of, like I said, it's kind of what you put into it. And it's a few different co-ops in the world to show you as big as they can get. I think Progressive is a co-op. Land Lakes, the butter spread is a co-op. Uh,
Public.
Publix is a co-op. Ocean Spray is a co-op, and I think Shell gas station. One of the gas stations is a co-op. So it's a few $1 billion co-ops in the world. You know what I'm saying? We trying to hopefully be the next
No, I definitely. I wish that was a co-op. I'd be like,
one.
put me in that. But no, I think what you said is so important. Like that ability to go in and also say, "No, I'm just selling this product, but this is mine. I own this. Is like the hot sauce that I own," and how you can give that type of um, sense of power and ownership to individuals that are part of the co-op. I think that's really crucial too, to like one of the big things that our organization at Nfsn has been working around is shifting power. And like, and understanding like power is a big complex word. We know it looks different to everyone, but ownership is a way in which you can hold power. And so I think that's really crucial, like what you talked about being feeling like you have ownership over it, and that there's not this hierarchy, but everyone's equal, and that everyone is putting in, everyone is sacrificing, and like invested at the same level in the outputs. I think that's really, really crucial to like the success of co-ops, and why I think that model is really important, especially for the worker co-ops, and that. And so, how does that work? Like, as soon as you come in to work for the organization, you're automatically put into the co-op, or is it optional, or how does that work?
Now you gotta graduate from the Gangster Growers program and pay in.
Mm-hmm.
So the number one requirement is to graduate from the Gangster Growers program.
Okay.
Yeah, so you got to finish the program in order to even be qualified to buy into the co-op, and then we talk about you buying in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's how you. Those are the only two requirements we got right now to finish the program and then buy in.
Mm-hmm. And what does that support look like in growing the either the co-op or specifically, um, I guess two things like the program, the Gangster Growers program, or with the hot sauce. Have you has had buy-in with like local stores or restaurants, and how does that kind of like transition look like for your organization?
What you mean by that? Like I
Like have
don't think we buy into restaurant. Nah.
like have restaurants use your products, or grocery stores taking your products into the
Okay.
shelves? Mm-hmm.
See, well, we're in restaurants. You know what I'm saying? Like farm burger.
Mm-hmm.
I guess you could say we what's the word? Buy in with them because they selling our sauce. You know what I'm saying? We got another place Cecili's with daughters. They selling our sauce as well in there. So you can say they like kind of we buy in with them. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying, to sell our product. And you can say we buy black too, cause that's how we ship sauce. And if our folks find out where to get our sauce at online,
We buy black.
yes, man.
Awesome. John Taylor, I'm sorry, were you gonna add something?
Oh no, he said it all. We working on getting it in 7 under too, and Whole Foods. Hopefully by the end of next year, I'm gonna have us in Whole Foods. That's my main goal.
I love that. And that there is the community coming around to support. I think that's crucial. So anyone that's tuning in, I think that's a huge step, is that when we see organizations that are doing this amazing work, but we also are buying in and investing by either, having these products in our stores, by purchasing the products. Like, what does it look like and it's one of the things we've talked about Nfsn is like these choice points about how do we invest our dollars, and being really intentional about investing in brands and organizations is just something that we all have to think about when we're making decisions on how we really support this type of work that's happening in our communities. And so one of the last questions is, how can other communities that are thinking about starting a co-op, what kind of recommendations around first steps, tools, resources to actually get started? Like, what would that look like?
The only resource you need is you want a community willing to pull together.
Mm-hmm.
I would say look into like I mentioned in the beginning, Mondragon in Spain. That's the biggest co-op model in the world. That's the longest running co-op that I can think about. That's the one that I would say look into to actually show you how to format a co-op, to actually show you how one could run and how it could be. And then you take that and build it how you want your co-op to be. Like I said, we got a workers own co-op. So that was the best model that we seen working for us, where we own it and work for it instead of paying somebody to work for it. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That way we can maximize on the dollar. Yeah, that's about it in my opinion.
Or any advice on how a community can look at starting a co-op that you want to add?
Well, I say that and say really look, like, find more resources. You know what I'm saying? More resources. And if you're gonna do it, really do it. Cause don't be playing. Cause some folks they'll see it's sweet and don't really put the work in behind it. So
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Make sure you do your research on it.
Because co-ops can get a lot of free money. Like a co-op is not like a regular corporation. So, like I said in the beginning, you ain't got a lot of people actually just throwing money at your company. So the government, if you like I said, if you find a way, the government can actually start giving you funding for your co-op. And a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people get comfortable with that, and they stop actually working. But a co-op goes only as far as you take it. So
Mm-hmm.
even if you are getting money, but don't nobody know about you, eventually it's gonna stop.
No, good point. Like, you have to put that work in. Like I say, you have to constantly be grinding if you want to constantly be growing. And you can't get complacent. I've really enjoyed this conversation. I hope others have as well. It's really important to see what's happening on the ground in communities, what people are building and investing in, and really thinking about when you think about solutions, it's about looking at what's already happening in communities. So that there could be something like this happening in your community, you don't know it exists. And so what does it look like to engage with the stakeholders on the ground that are in communities doing the work? Because I think a lot of times in the movement, we make assumptions that communities aren't doing certain things, that they're not working on solutions, um, that they just don't know, right? And that you need to come in and teach. But really, we need to come in and listen, and we need to come in and amplify. We need to come in and feed into the amazing work and solutions that are being built already in communities that are doing amazing work, like the organization and the work that you guys are doing. So I really appreciate the work that you're doing and the inspiration that you're going to be to people in your community and others that tuned in today. So please share this. We're going to drop the link to their organization and the hot sauce in the chat. And so please share and amplify the work that's happening in their community. Reminding everyone tuning in to like our page, make sure that you follow us here on Facebook, join our e-newsletter to stay up to date on next coffee chat series. We will be doing celebrating Native American Heritage Month next month in November. So we're going to have conversations around the true history of Thanksgiving and do some truth telling, which is important for healing, and really diving into that conversation as well. So please stay tuned, and you'll see links in our chat box. Any last words that you guys want to add or plug in?
Now I want to
Nah,
thank you for allowing us to utilize our platform. And I want people to follow us on Instagram to get more updates. It's Sweet Soul HEL SWEETSOL HEL. We got a TikTok on the same thing too. I think.
for
Awesome.
sure. I appreciate you as well, and the
Thank you.
followers that's watching.
Thank you.
And
Thank
thank
you.
y'all for having us.
No, thank you guys for being here. It is so important. Like we said, these coffee chats are meant to be really laid back, organic, real conversations with leaders that are doing amazing work. It's really being unapologetic about centering the voices and the leadership of BIPOC-led organizations around the country. So if there is an organization that you want to highlight or a conversation that you would like us to have, please feel free to reach out, because we are really all about centering and elevating the work that's happening around this country. And so please share this out. So we want to make sure that this conversation and the work and the stories that you heard today don't stay here, and that they reach as many people as possible, because I think there's so many people that could benefit. And so again, I'm Chris Noriega, the Senior Director of Policy and Programs for the National Farm to School Network, and hope to see you guys next month for our coffee chat. Thanks, guys.